Hello everybody and welcome to Insider's Guide. Today we're discussing Vail Resorts' flagship East Coast mountain, Stowe. With its Epic Pass affiliation, Stowe brings with it strong grooming, but also some serious crowding issues, both of which we'll delve into today. This episode is split into two parts, with this first part discussing some background and the Spruce Peak side of the mountain. We'll cover the bulk of Stowe's terrain, including the gondola terrain and the infamous front four, in the next part. So with that, let's begin an Insider's Guide to Ski Resorts, Stowe. Stowe Mountain Resort is located just outside of the town of Stowe, which itself is a 45-minute drive from Burlington, 2.5 hours from Montreal, 3.5 from Albany and Boston, and 5.5 from New York City. This puts it quite a bit farther away from these major population centers than some of its southern counterparts and competitors, such as Mount Snow and Stratton respectively. However, this results in better and more natural snow accumulation, which greatly elevates the Stowe experience over that its competitors can offer. And that's been noticed. Stowe has been a popular getaway for decades upon decades for a reason. Of course, with a rather odd mountain layout, this can lead to some pretty nasty crowds and choke points in some areas, while others stay completely empty. And that's part of why I'm here, so you spend less of your time in lift lines and more of your time doing what you're here for. Something standout about Stowe is its gigantic base village here at Spruce Peak, which is somewhat rare for the East Coast. For guests willing to pay a premium for the convenience of staying at the mountain, the base area lodging pulls out all the stops, offering a truly luxurious experience. For those looking for a more economical option, there are dozens of inns, hostels, and B&Bs all over the Vermont countryside, most of which offer a nice, authentic, old-school feel. If you're looking for something more intermediate and/or modern, such as chain hotels, there are a few options in nearby Waterbury, but otherwise you'll want to find a room in Burlington. Speaking of which, I know I'm not much of a true travel YouTuber, but if you have a chance while traveling through Waterbury, I would highly recommend stopping by the Ben & Jerry's factory and taking a tour. It's a super cool look at how ice cream is made on a commercial level, and you get some ice cream too, all for $6 as of January 2025. Accessing Stowe is fairly straightforward. It's only got an access road from one side. However, the one-in, one-out nature of the access road can create some pretty nasty traffic on peak days. There are lots of parking lots up in and around the Mansfield base, and a parking garage on the Spruce Peak side. The parking garage is always paid parking, but on Monday through Thursday, all of the lots on the Mansfield side are free. On peak days, those lots cost $30. If you have 4 or more in your vehicle, ask one of the parking guys for a code and use that on the payment app to get your parking for free. There are a few small free parking areas down the road, but if you want those, you'll need to get there exceptionally early as they fill up well before lifts even open. Speaking of which, the Forerunner and Sunrise lifts, along with the gondola and toll house lifts on peak days, begin spinning at 8 o'clock, so keep that in mind if you're used to the 9 to 4 structure and desire first tracks. Overall, I prefer parking in this big parking lot, which gives you easy access to the Sunrise lift if you already have your pass, or the Mansfield Lodge if you need to go get one. However, if you prefer to go to Forerunner or the gondola to start, park in one of the gondola lots, as Forerunner and the gondola base are significantly uphill from the big one. Stowe's location in northern Vermont ensures it gets lots of snow. It also, however, ensures it gets extremely cold, so bring plenty of layers in case that hits during your visit. In times of low snow, Stowe has very strong snowmaking infrastructure to augment and build base on their more popular trails. Stowe also has a very strong grooming operation, which they playfully like to refer to as the Legion of Groom. This ensures there is a plethora of smooth cruisers, ranging from the easiest greens to some seriously steep blacks. However, Stowe also has lots of ungroomed terrain to keep higher level skiers and riders entertained. There are lots of woods one can duck into, and we can't cover all of them in Insider's Guide. We'll cover the named glades and some of my favorite unnamed spots. The primary difference between the named glades and the unofficial tree skiing is that the unofficial stuff isn't clear of all this lower stuff you can see me getting pelted by in this footage. Additionally, the unofficial tree skiing isn't patrolled, so it's recommended to ski in groups of 3. That way, in case something happens to one, person 2 can stay and person 3 can go get help. Stowe also has lots of true mogul burners, including their famed front 4, along with lots of slightly less demanding runs. All of this leads to Stowe being very strong for advanced and expert skiers, and particularly well-rounded in comparison to many of its East Coast neighbors. The biggest weakness of Stowe's terrain is that for beginners, there's still plenty of quality greens, they're just not in every mountain area. Alright. That was a lot of background. Let's actually talk about the mountain. Now, to get between the two sides of the mountain, you must take this over-easy gondola. The over-easy gondola can see a little bit of buildup in the peak morning hours from people staying at Spruce Peak wanting to go to the Mansfield side. Overall, however, it doesn't get busy at all. The walk from the over-easy gondola to the Spruce Peak lifts is no longer than a few minutes, and it's easiest to access the Meadows Quad. The Sunny Spruce Quad's maze is over on this looker's left side, and the Adventure Triple is a bit further across the base area. For first-timers, you'll start at either the Adventure or Meadows Carpet. After you're confident on those, you can progress to the Adventure Triple. Adventure is one of the longest true bunny hills I've seen, and it's really nice because it's a curving trail, which makes it more interesting than a straight trail, and it's entirely segregated from more advanced traffic rather than being the runout of the upper mountain. It's a great place to practice your skills. After that, you can head to Meadows. I hate Meadows because it's so painfully slow. However, if there's a line at Sunny Spruce and you want to go to Sensation, it's typically a pretty sure bet that Meadows won't be bad. Meadows and Easy Street are actually separated by a rope, and you can go to either one. Easy Street seems more popular with small children, but Meadows is where the more advanced skiers returning from the upper mountain tend to go, so pick your poison. Meadows is about twice as wide as Easy Street. The primary lift out of the Spruce Peak base is the Sunny Spruce Quad, which is a detachable. It very rarely gets lines greater than 5 minutes when it's running smoothly, but it has a tendency to stop and slow quite a bit, which can back it up for a bit more. All of these pink areas are race courses and are rarely, if ever, open to the public, so we won't worry about them for this video. Off the top, you've got West Run, Lower Smugglers, East Run, Ridge Run, and Side Street, which are all nice groomers. Ridge Run is a bit of a road, while the others are all pretty fall line consistent. Beware Lower Smugglers has a bit of uphill after West Run merges on, so keep up some speed for that. Lower West Run is a nice lower level mogul run, and West Smugglers is a super narrow cut across to Lower West. These ridge glades are quite difficult, requiring an expert level drop in, as is Meadows East, accessed from the Meadows Quad. Directly under the lift is Freddy's Chute, which gets pretty scraped off and isn't my favorite. Lower down, West Slope gets pretty darn icy, so I typically avoid that side and come down the Meadows side if it's been a bit since a storm. This brings us to the Sensation Quad, which is also a detachable and is deceptively long, at least compared to the map. The map makes Sunny Spruce and Sensation look equally as long, but in reality, Sensation is almost double the length of Sunny Spruce. You can access Sensation by any of these cuts, all of which go down to Sensation, and none of which come back from it. In other words, if you find yourself at the bottom of Sensation, your only options are to ride Sensation or to walk back up this little cut. Off of Sensation, you can head over to Smugglers, which is a fairly narrow but mellow mogul run that you can escape by taking this cut here. This lower cut goes the other way, to Smugglers, so if you're on Main Street Headwall and wish to hit Lower Smugglers or anything that comes off of it, keep an eye out on your right for a road through the trees. It's unmarked, but clear when you're looking for it. Upper Main Street to Main Street Headwall to Side Street is by far the most popular run in the pod, and that's for a reason. This series of super steep wide groomers makes for a nice, fun cruising lap. However, this popularity and steepness can lead to some pretty nasty ice, so be careful on these. Directly under the lift is Spruce Line, which starts as moguls and then goes into the woods. On the upper mogul section, the snow tends to be better on the skier's right side due to the prevailing winds. The natural topography flows downhill from Looker's left to right here, so you can ski the trees from Main Street down onto Spruce Line, and then from Spruce Line over to Whirlaway, but going the other way gets pretty difficult. The woods are more dense down below in this big empty space here, and aren't really skiable. Whirlaway is a mogul run, and is a bit wider than Smugglers. I really enjoy skiing Whirlaway, despite its inconsistent fall line. There's just something about it, maybe I'm crazy. And that brings us to Sterling, which is a fantastic ultra-long cruiser. Sterling from top to bottom is probably the longest groomer lap you can get outside of the gondola pod. Although it doesn't have snowmaking and is only groomed every few days, it's an absolutely fantastic run. As far as this base camp road that literally says walking required, why? The only purpose of this is an escape back to the runs that get you back to the base, but plan in advance and you can avoid this pain. Alright, that about wraps it up for Part A of the Stowe Insider's Guide. Now go watch Part B, all about the rest of Stowe, including the much more well-known Front 4 and Mansfield gondola terrain. As always, please leave any questions down below. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please consider subscribing to help support this stream. Thank you all so much for watching. All my love, I'm out.